Okay.
It'll take a minute to go live. Live. Okay. I believe that we are live. Hi, Karen Kay. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm wonderful. How are you?
Oh, I'm just fantastic. I am so very excited, and we're a few minutes early, but I want to welcome you to Sip with Stacey, and I am so honored to have you on today's program. And this is where we interview leaders around our community. Specifically today, we're in Arizona, and we are with Karen Kay, and she is a past state president in 2002 for Arizona State. And she is a facilitator, and she gives back so much to our community. And we are just honored to have her here today. So thank you, Karen, for being our guest on Sip with Stacey today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Now, just to give a little background on Sip with Stacey, the idea behind our leadership live stream is to take a deeper dive into leadership, but more specifically, the leaders, and are they living by our mission, vision, and values of our council? So we are going to start off right here with Karen Kay, and I would love for you to speak on professional credibility within the Women's Council.
Wow. That's huge. I am very passionate about Women's Council, and I believe Women's Council is a great place that someone can be who they want to be, and it gives a very safe place for leaders to land and to learn and to be trained and to grow. The support system around anyone who joins Women's Council is just amazing.
That's wonderful. And that means so much because we all have so much growing to do. And I believe a lot of us come into the council not realizing the growth potential that is before us. But I believe that the Women's Council provides that and more. And then on top of that, it's a safe space to grow and to ask questions and to learn Robert's rules I never knew before I got into Women's Council. And so I think that's our secret. That is our secret sauce. And so it's wonderful that we do have the Women's Council. It's such a gift to all of us. Could you speak about some of the gifts that were bestowed upon you, Karen, getting into the council? And let's talk about what year you became a realtor.
Yeah. Thank you. I've been in real estate now 28 years. So we go back to the 1990s, the late 90s. And when I started in 94, immediately a few years, it was like less than 2 years, I was approached and told about Women's Council and invited. And I knew at that moment that I was invited, and I walked into my very first meeting that this was a place for me. I felt welcomed. I felt like such a cool wow factor. And actually at that time, the meetings were held at 7:30 in the morning for a breakfast meeting. And that's not like realtors. So it was very interesting, but I immediately in 1990, 1999, 1998, 1999 being president-elect, and then the local president, and immediately then from that into treasurer position and working my way up the line into state president, like you had said before, in 2002. and then went on for 2003 and 2004, being National Women's Council National Governor at that time. And then 2005, seems so long ago, being member of the year for the state and being able to walk across the stage and receive that honor to represent Arizona. So yeah, it was a very interesting and very exciting journey at that time.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, Cindy Reddy, our 2015 past national president, she was after you in the line, right? Because you were state president in 2002, and then she was state president, like, I think in 7.
I think so.
I think so.
I
Yeah.
know 2015 was her national president year, and she built up, to that. So yeah, right around there. Yeah. I remember Cindy back and encouraging her to go up the state line. So,
Oh, that's wonderful. And what a gift to be able to serve with her, right?
oh my God, yes. Yeah, it was real fun and real interesting and all around that time. And right around that time, I had a very active real estate business, like the referrals out of WCR. They're just amazing. You just gotta love it. And I was kind of growing my leadership roles at that time around the state of Arizona at the local board. I had gone through our local board leadership program, and for Arizona Realtors, AAR, I was GRI chairperson at that time. And it was a real interesting, because here there's all this leadership roles, but my life actually took a turn. And at that time, I was just really carrying around inside of me this pain that I just can't explain. It's like you just can't explain it. And so I had to let everybody around me know that my life was about to change and that I could no longer live the way that I was living, because I had known for years, back to like my early adulthood, that I was gay and that I needed to be true to myself. And I needed to live in this world as a gay woman. And I wasn't doing that at that time. And so at that time, the word got out. It got out within my real estate career community. It got out within the real estate community, the WCR community. And it was really interesting, the reaction. And there was an email and around this time, and you have to remember, email was very different than it is now. This is the time when we weren't completely even using emails for our real estate business, and just people were not fully understanding all the functions of email. And I found myself on a BCC email that was going around, that was just not very kind at that time. Kind of the email was, it was just very hurtful and bashing, and kind of saying, who did Karen Kay sleep with? And this really super affected me, and I had to take a deep breath and didn't really know what to do. And I just felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. And so I kind of withdrew and took a step back on everything. And I put a lot of time into my real estate business. So that gave me a chance to really grow my real estate business. And I was coaching and mentoring and training real estate agents at that time, which I just love and adore. And I was took up CE Arizona continuing ed CE with ADRE teaching. So I teach all 6 of our continuing ed to other real estate agents, and just really love that. And this gave me a chance to really get back my confidence and to really show where I was in the real estate community. And then basically, as our world has changed, I find myself now really being able to step out into the leadership role again. And it feels really good. And I want to thank you, Stacey, for helping me along on that journey and just asking me to, Karen, will you come speak? So thank you. Thank you.
And it's so beautiful that you're giving back with your coaching and your teaching in the community, and you grew in your leadership, but then you were helping others and it helped your business at the same time. It's almost like a trifecta. So it's such a beautiful story of how it intertwined through your life, but then we get to the beautiful part of it. And also just the backstory. So we started this year our leadership academy within Arizona. We are a smaller network compared to the rest of the nation. We only have a state, we have 8 networks. And to build our leadership up more in Arizona, we started our leadership academy. And we thought, well, you know what? We're always looking for ways to get our past state presidents back into the fold and back in helping. And Karen was one of the past state Arizona presidents that we contacted, and she raised her hand immediately and said, yes, I would love to teach. And she stepped right up to the plate, and she did, and she taught. And we just had our day 2 in Flagstaff, Arizona, and Karen was kind enough to travel all the way up there to teach and present to us. And she shared our why with us right there. And I had never heard the story before. I've known Karen for years, and I'd never heard the story. And I was just so excited that and honored that you chose to share it with us, and that you felt comfortable enough. And I think that's the key, that we are inclusive and we do wrap our arms around our realtor community, and that you were able to do that you felt that comfort level. So thanks for choosing us, and more importantly, that we are inclusive. So I think that's the beauty of that story.
Well, I really do believe that Women's Council gives women a safe place to land and to be able to share. And you're doing remarkable things with Leadership Academy now being in Arizona. I'm thrilled to see the birth, after seeing the birth of this, how it's just going to grow. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, it is my honor and privilege. And I'm just so glad. It was about 3 years of asking. And finally, Shauna Guzman, or Huseman, excuse me, our state president this year, Shauna believed in us and she said, go for it. And so Cindy and I were like, yes. And so we formed the committee and we forged forward. And I do believe, just like you had stated, Karen, it's just going to propel us into the future for Arizona and grow more leaders. And that's the whole idea, right?
That's right. That's right. Yes. Because when we grow leaders within Women's Council, we grow leaders within the community, within the real estate, brokerage, and business. And it just helps everybody around. Yep.
It does. It does. I feel so many times that Women's Council, one by one, we're helping change our communities and our world to a better space. The values that we learn in Women's Council, they just transfer right to everyday life. And so that's why I love Women's Council so much. It's just a part of my life. Can we talk about the power of collaboration now, Karen, and how that has been a gift through Women's Council for you, collaboration?
Well, you mean like within the real estate community?
Yes, and Women's Council. So, a lot of times we'll meet someone at Network 360 or a national conference in a different part of the country, and we end up collaborating with them. And maybe it's a referral, maybe we're just exchanging best business practices, or if something like that. I want to talk about how that has happened to you in your career with Women's Council.
You know, the other members that we meet around the United States is just amazing. Just by being able to share business cards, take 2 minutes and be able to find out about them, shake their hand, hug them, walk into a room, finding things in common, asking questions about where they're from and how business is done has I've learned so much along the way. And now really with Facebook, it keeps that connection because you kind of can see what everyone is doing. But even just a couple months ago, I got a call. She actually called me, and we go way back to the times when I was on leadership. She goes, "Yeah, I looked through all the names and I couldn't believe it. What have you been doing?" And so we took a few minutes and caught up. And then she goes, "You know what?" And said, "I have this person that will be in the Phoenix area, and can you help them?" And I'm like, "Sure." And things like that go on. We learn from each other. We learn techniques. We learn just sharing, and not only friendships, but just what we can do within our own business.
Right, right. And then once you make those connections, if you needed a referral in a different state, or you needed to maybe learn what their best practices are for an event, you can reach out and call them or email them. And we're all here to help, because we're all on the same team. We're here to help others. So, and be servant leaders. So I love that power of collaboration. Let's talk now about influence and some mentors that have been important in your leadership journey, Karen.
Oh, wow. There's been really so many along the way. And, I have to tell you, just kind of starting off with Sue Carton out of Tucson, going back, and Joanne Foslin out of Tucson, Arizona, were two very big, big influences. Sue Carton was actually our Arizona state president the year that I was the local president of the network, the group that there in the Southeast Valley. And like that goes way back, and I totally remember so many conversations. And then just along the way, I remember a person, her name is Tina Patton, and she was the very first person that I met when I walked through the doors of Women's Council. And to this day, we are still friends. And it's just amazing on how you can look at some of these just dynamic women that I've met along the way. Cindy Reddy is just one, as I have seen her go through her leadership journey and continues to go on from being National Women's Council national president on to just being dynamite in the state of Arizona. And Stacey, you are now my new mentor, or just star, or I just think that you're doing wonderful things. So yeah, I could go on and talk about cool women all day.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And I just love that those women were, it's not one, but it's a multitude. We give in ways sometimes we don't even realize of how we're touching others and helping others. But those women are still in your lives, and they're there to help you along the way. And I love that. Now, most recently, when we had our first in-person Leadership Academy meeting in Tucson for our spring meeting, Joanne Foslin raised her hand, and I had heard the name. I had never met her, and she spoke. She was one of our facilitators, and she spoke on public speaking, and she did so good, and she is so funny. I was like, I need to get to know this lady more. She is so funny, and I just love her. So that is so cool that she was one of the influential leaders in your leadership path, and she's still connected to you. She is an awesome leader.
Stacey, and it's very interesting. You asked me that question, and everybody I mentioned was in the state of Arizona, where I find
Yeah.
what you have to remember is, as we call it 360 now, that I was one of them the year that voted that in at national. It was then called Leadership Academy. I have to think back. I believe it was Leadership Academy. And it was formed the year that I was that I was local president. And I remember voting on it. And so it went into effect the following year.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking what that has actually done is it has opened up our leaders to be able to meet early on in their leadership other members from other states. Whereas, you have to remember around my time, we went to we went to the DC and the national meeting and had made connections, and we had different resources. We actually had a referral book at that time. But now, because of that transition, I believe our presidents have a chance of meeting more global than, it shifted, I guess is what I'm trying to say at that time, which is interesting. That was a realization that just came to me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. And for you to say referral booklet, so I just put that in the chat because I bet you so many of our members do not know that we had a referral book. How cool is that? Because we do everything, virtual now. So
Yeah. I still have one on my bookshelf. I saw it the other day. I can't throw it away.
no, do not throw it away. You know what? Because we started the leadership library within Women's Council, where we collected all the books. That should go in that library because that's history, right? So
It is.
save it
Definitely.
someday because I think we might need to put that into our leadership library that we started.
Yeah.
And thank you for your donation of the lovely books that you donated for our Leadership Academy. It's our past presidents and all the support that we were able to have to really launch this Leadership Academy. So that's wonderful that you did that. I love that so much. Now, this is one of my favorite questions. I was interviewed by an author in Las Vegas, Connie, and she wrote the book Crystalline Moments. I don't know if you've ever read it. I absolutely love this book. I've read it several times. And she asked me a question in the interview, and now I've saved this question and I ask it when I'm on a nominating committee or anything, but this is one of my favorite questions. Were you born a leader, Karen Kay?
Wow. That is a great question. That is. And, I totally think we all are, we need to claim it. We all are born leaders, but I think it takes something to be able to draw that out and to confirm it and to really see. And I look back that I was a very, very shy child. I was just super shy. And I'm not sure like when that transitioned, but I do know I was leader of I was treasurer. I don't know if we had president at that time, but I was treasurer of my 4-H If anyone has heard of 4-H groups, it's a Midwestern kind of, fairs. You show your things at the fairs, and in like the sewing and the cooking end of it. But I was treasurer of our little group that we had, and I think it was a nickel that we collected every time we met. And then I go on and I look, and I was very active with any kind of children, working with children. And I was a Girl Scout leader along the way. And I was a lot within the community of working all the way up. So but I really, really have to say, and I know I keep repeating this, that I believe Women's Council was where I was able to come in and be me and listen to different not criticisms, but just growth. Karen, try this. And I truly believe in education. Education is very much a passion, and all of the designations that we have out there as realtors are so important. I encourage anyone to obtain all of the, and I did as soon as I became an agent. I went on, and had my LTG, which eventually turned into the PMN, and GRI, CRS, ePro, on the military, the diversity. All of them are so full in what they have there, and that helps us to become leaders. So I know I kind of went off there, but if we are self-employed, if we are realtors, if we're running our only business, when I do training with agents, I always say, if you're going to be in real estate, you have to look at your real estate and run it as a business. And that right there, that whole concept makes us leaders. It helps us to grow and become leaders of our business. And then we can take that skills out into the community.
Absolutely. And that's what's so beautiful about, realizing if you were born a leader or if that was a transferable skill or learned skill, or how you acquired that, but somewhere along your path you became a leader. And it sounds like 4-H was probably like a landing page for you. And I was involved with 4-H. I trained dogs and showed them, and also horses. So I'm a Midwestern girl. I'm from Ohio. So I lived on a farm when I was young, and I love 4-H. It's just a wonderful leadership platform. And
I was always jealous because my friends that lived on farms, I lived within the farming community, but our family was not farm. But all my farmer friends, they were able to show their pigs and their goats and their, all their animals. And I was always jealous.
Yeah, my niece, Molly, up until a few years ago, she would raise 2 pigs and show them every year at the fair. And I just love it. It's just something. 4-H is just a wonderful program. But it's interesting. You started with your treasury position, your leadership there, and then it just built and it built. And like you said, you were very shy. And then, you learned these skills, and it just kept building on each other. And then all of a sudden, boom, here's Karen Kay. I love it. Now, can we talk about your first leadership position within Women's Council? What was that position and when was it?
I joined, and when I joined Women's Council, and hey, I'm thinking back here a few years, it was within like 8 months within that same year that I was pulled aside, and by a few leaders. There was actually, I want to say, at least 4, maybe 5 women who said, can we go to breakfast and talk? And they pulled me aside, and I remember, and they started basically asking me questions and talking to me and saying, well, we would like you to be president-elect next year. So I went immediately from there into the president-elect position, and then the next year into president. Now, maybe within that 8 years, I probably, hard to think back, but was at different committee meetings. Like if anything needs to be done, I jump in. Like, okay, so somebody saw in me something to be able to really talk to me. And I have to tell you, there was some lovely, lovely ladies in that. Bridget Wood, Carrie Wade, Glenda Wade, Janet Hold, and those names just are real past, like local presidents of that particular group. And yeah, that, and then from president-elect, you just kind of ride along with. But I remember having an amazing Nancy Vikovich was her name, and she followed me, and she was just amazing on helping me. Like after every meeting, I would look at her and go, okay, what could I have done better? And one time she just looked at me and she goes, Karen, when you're running a meeting, please don't take notes. Cause like if something was going on, I'd sit there and take notes. She goes, no. And I go, oh, okay. And it wasn't that I was trying to be secretary. I was trying to take notes to myself for doing later. And so what we started to do was actually bring in one of those recorders, those long recorders with the little cassette tapes, not the larger ones, but the little one. And we recorded I recorded all of the meetings. I let everyone know. I mean, it sat in front of me. But that way, whatever I needed to remember that I had said I was going to do or something, I could go back. And after a while, I didn't even need to listen to them anymore. I had the confidence that I was going to remember. And I took care of what needed to be done at that moment. Like if a question came up, and at first I didn't, okay, I got to think about this. Like, who do I ask to do this? Or how do I developed the skills to be able to handle it at that moment and kind of delegate it or get response of, was it important or not? So.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I don't know, did I answer your question? I kind of.
Well, I think we kind of skipped over the year, but we get the idea, that, of when you started and your leadership, and that others were still guiding you as you were going up your leadership ladder, and you still continue because we're lifelong learners. We never stop learning. There's always something to be learned. And so I love everything that you said. We're almost at the end of our time. 30 minutes goes so very fast, but I don't want to end this session with you, Karen, until we talk about a meeting that I believe we were both at last Wednesday, and that was the equity, diversity and inclusion meeting. And I just would love to hear your thoughts on how you felt about that meeting and what you felt came out of it.
Wow. That's, walking in there and just being, first of all, just everybody in the room was just so powerful, and just the whole energy level was just super amazing. And we had speakers that were all from out of state, some really cool speakers, down to earth, and really had a conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we need to continue to talk about. And just looking at Arizona Realtors and their whole new committee and their whole new, like, wanting to face this issue right on, and to continuously have a conversation about this. We need to talk about this. There are so many arms, so many subject matter, so many things that all kind of intertwine. And just to see everyone in that room who is very passionate and very open to diversity, equality, but everyone's passion is motivated by a different reason, a different, it might be because of the race. It might be because of a family member. It might be because of where they live. It might be because they saw something. And it might just the whole diversity, being able to have a conversation about this issue is just
And I love, like you said, we had superstars on that stage. We had NAR, Ryan Davis, LGBTQ, Dave Gervais from the Real Estate Alliance, Sylvia Sebald, our national president. We had Lydia Pope. She is national president, NAR president. We had Tim Herr, president of the Asian Real Estate. I was like, when I walked in and I saw that room packed and I saw all the people we had on stage, but I have to give credit to Arizona, for AAR, for being in the forefront of this and bringing this forward to all of us. I felt proud.
yes, yes. And the LGBTQI community is very much on my heart. It's very, and I am so willing to have that conversation with anyone that wants to sit down and really talk about it. And I now have been married to my wife for 5.5 years.
Okay.
And we've known each other. We actually got married on our 10th year, the same weekend of our 10th year of commitment. So we've been together a while, and it brings me joy that I'm able to call her my wife and to have that. But right now, our rights are being challenged, on that whole issue. And so that's very important to me to have that conversation and to awareness out there for different people. But there's issues. That's not the only issue within the diversity, equality, inclusion whole conversation of it. The Asian community are still afraid and scared to walk streets and being beaten up or attacked, and they're still not equal in our I don't want to use necessarily the word segregation.
We're working on it though, right? We
are working on it,
and that's the beauty of it. And
yes,
that we're having the conversations. And I think that was what was so beautiful, is it was the doors opening and we're having those conversations. So it was beautiful to see the room full and to see so many people there in support to have those conversations. And Karen, I just cannot thank you.
I just want to say, and it's in order. I mean, it's great to see it and to have the conversations, but I also like getting into the meat. And we were able to get into a little bit of the meat and talk about it, but then also realize and thank and encourage everybody to embrace this and see all the arms going out. And that was really cool. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I loved it. And I'm sorry to cut you short, but we're already over our time. And that's the problem I have, because I could talk forever, and so I thank you so much, Karen, for being open, being real, and sharing your leadership journey and your why and some important leadership milestones through your career. And also just for continuing to give back to our community. I love the history that you bring, and that you're always still giving, and you're teaching and you're helping. And so thank you for all that you do and for being you, Karen.
Thank you, Stacey, for having me this morning. This has been really nice.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, have a great day, friends, and we'll see you next week on Sip with Stacey. Thank you, Karen.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.